What is up? It's your boy Johnny Street, IFBB promo to tell like it is. Today we are at Bluestar Nutraceuticals facility. I hope you guys are ready to put on some muscle today because you're gonna love today's workout. We're doing a chest, shoulder, and tricep workout, part of our push day 1. This workout is going to utilize a variety of machines and free weights, going to be easily integrated for a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So without further ado, keep your eyes glued to the screen and your ears glued to the speakers, and let's learn some shit. Okay, first exercise, we're going to do 15-degree incline dumbbell press. Now, you guys can make it flat as if you want to as well. I like doing 15-degree incline because I feel like it's your best bang for your buck in terms of being able to incorporate your middle chest and your upper chest. Most of you guys might be lacking in the upper chest, so I like doing incline press. Now, again, we're going to be doing 8 to 12 reps, about 3-second negative, 1 second positive, and then we're gonna rest for about 1 to 2 minutes. All right. Again, we're doing this. Let's make sure from floor to core, keep it tight. We're gonna kick the bells back as we roll back. Flex your abs, open your shoulders up a tiny bit right here, and we're gonna press up, push yourself into the ground. Again, stack the joints, basically making sure your fists, wrists, and elbows stay under the dumbbells for a 3 count down. And press. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And one more. We're gonna rest 1 to 2 minutes. Use your first set to kind of give yourself like a little feeler. We call it like a feeler set. So we wanna make sure that we're, feeling the weight out. We can kind of like judge if we can go up a little more the next set for harder sets. And then again, your warm up or feeler set is to help you practice the actual movement you're doing. So you're basically like going through the motions while warming up the muscles and then getting into your harder sets. Okay, so why is like a push-pull legs one of your best ways to train and build muscle? Well, again, we're talking about building muscle and creating the most amount of volume within, outside of the muscular cell. Basically like you're filling the volume of blood around the muscle, right? So basically what we want to do is we want to train the muscle groups twice a week. That's like the entire chest, the entire shoulders, entire legs. The more frequent we can train, the more we can actually build muscle. We're forcing our body into adapting, so the more we do it, the better off we're going to be. Now, the parameters basically is 30 to 45 second sets, resting between 1 to 2 minutes. And again, we're trying to train each muscle group twice a week, and that's between like 10 to 20 sets. Now, not many people will do 20 full hard sets. So it's around like say 10 to 16, that's an entire week. So say I do chest on one day, which I'm doing today, say I do 8 hard sets on one day, then the next time I do chest and I have, 4 more hard sets, I'm getting to that range where I'm filling the muscle up, putting under the most amount of tension, as frequent as I can possibly do it throughout the week. That's why push-pull legs is probably your best option in terms of building muscle. So for beginner or intermediate or advanced, you're trying to like build overall everything. Like you want to build bigger shoulders, bigger chest, bigger legs. You're trying to be more aesthetically pleasing. Hypertrophy training, sacrifice hypertrophy, and doing this will be your best option. So we're gonna actually raise 2 minutes. They're gonna go up probably only about 20 pounds and feel it all. Again, I'm trying to do 8 to 12 reps. Same with those parameters and making sure it's a 3-second negative. Same thing, kick it back while you roll back. Reset your feet once you're back. Flex your abs, right? So we don't want to arch back. Open your shoulders up a little bit here. Not all the way out like this, like a tiny bit of a bend here, right? Stack your joints, make sure your fists, wrists, and elbows are under the dumbbells, and then we're pressing up. Again, those 3-second negative. And it's okay to count while you're doing it. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I definitely could have went to 2 more reps, but I definitely would have failed at that. And I'll have a spotter. So for me, I can feel those, failing reps coming up. So it's okay to be about 2 shy from failure. My goal is to make sure that I get the minimum at least rep range. If I can't do the minimum rep range, it's too heavy. If I can do way more than the maximum rep range, then it's too late. So we're trying to find that weight in between. That's gonna exhaust the muscle where you can continue to train hard, but it doesn't contradict your form as well too. So just keep those things in mind when you're training. It's the quality of the set, not the quantity of the weight, right? So I got 10 reps last set, so I'm gonna try to go up again. Remember, I wanna make sure I stay in between the minimum to the maximum. So I'm gonna go up to 100 pounds. If I don't get 8 reps, I'm gonna do a rest pause set. Basically what I'm gonna do is, if I say fail at around like 6 reps, I'm gonna take about a 10-second break, 10 to 15-second break, catch my breath, and I'll go back again and do as many reps as I can until I get at least the minimum rep range. If I get it, within that, great. And then that'll be my set, so. Now, some big things I see When people go up, what you're not gonna see from me is I'm gonna keep it consistent. My rep range is not gonna, my rep speed tempo is not gonna change. That's where I have to keep those things consistent. If it changes, then I gotta lower the weight, right? So let's do it again. Okay, I knew I was only getting 8, but I definitely want to rest pause a sec. I'm going to drop a little bit. I'm going to get up myself the 80s. I'm going to bang as many reps as I can. Another technique you can use, either do a rest pause or a drop set, but I got to my minimum, so I'm going to get back and rep these out, same tempo. There you have it. So 8 reps plus the drop set to the 4. Got my rep range and I got to my point where I went to failure, not close to failure. One more rep would have been failure for sure, but you'll know what it feels like. And that's why I like to kind of preach going to failure just for beginners. So you can understand what it feels like to go to failure. So then you can actually say like, hey, I'm only 2 reps to failure, and then you can stop the reps then. But until you really know failure, you're not gonna really know how hard you can actually push yourself. So push yourself as hard as you possibly can, and then you can start backing off here and there. Hey, what's up guys? We're gonna be putting out 5 more videos, part of our push-pull leg series. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit the post notification button as well too. So next time we put a video, we're the first ones to get it. Now back to the show. Okay, so next up we have incline machine press on this Arsenal incline press. I love this machine. Now, when it comes to getting into this, again, we don't need to really necessarily warm up. My chest is completely primed. Obviously going through dumbbell press, which is gonna warm up a lot more, seeing it's a very unilateral, bilateral based workout. So I'm gonna feel a lot more. So here, I don't have to waste my time going into a feeler set. So I do know what I can lift. So I'm gonna go right into a hard set or a working set right now, just to kind of save time and save energy. 10 to 15 reps. We're gonna do a 2-second negative, so 2 seconds down, 1 second up, and we're gonna rest again, 1 to 2 minutes. Now, do your best to avoid extreme arching of the back. Why? This is why. Right now, if I'm here, engaging my core, I'm working my chest, upper chest. If I do this, I've now taken my upper chest and moved it back and moved my lower chest up. So now we're almost doing like flat bench, right? So do your best to make sure we engage our core, flex our abs to keep ourselves planted on the bench when we're actually pressing. Again, making sure we're stacking the joints, fists, wrists, and elbows under the bar, and go again. There you go. Some machines are gonna be different than others. They're gonna feel different than others. It might feel a little heavier, might feel lighter. So from this, a great set, I got to almost 10. I'm gonna back off, and don't be afraid to back off. It's not about how much you can lift, it's about how good and efficient you can make that set. So I'm gonna dice this off. I'm gonna put on the 35 instead of the 45. My next set will probably still keep me in that rep range, but I'll be able to push out a little bit more. Remember, time and attention is key. That's what's gonna give you the best environment to building more muscle. So the longer your set is, the better off you are. Here we go. Now that is 100% 1 rep away from failure. Hold my rep and I'm not getting that up. That's where we want to be. Don't be scared to fail. Don't have too much of an ego that you can't lower the weight to make yourself fail the good way, which is with good form. Okay, next on the list we have Pec-Deck. Now, you can do this in the cables. You can do dumbbells. I don't necessarily recommend dumbbells. If you can do cables or Pec-Deck, that's the best bang for your buck. And a lot of these exercises too, you can literally do this entire workout in a Smith machine. So if you only have a few things like, you know, dumbbells, Smith machine, you don't have all these great fancy machines we have here. You can definitely arrange these in the same way that you can if you, with whatever equipment you have at your gym. Now, if you're at home, you can do the same thing, just all dumbbells. So 10 to 15 reps again. 2 second negative, 1 second positive. But some good cues in here I want you guys to understand is making sure we are flat on this, on the ground. Make sure your back stays on this. A lot of times I see your butt out like this way and our back's arched like this. We want to keep ourselves planted on the bench, engaging the core, flexing the abs, and then keeping this at a height that you're not too low or too high. Now, when we're doing this too, there's no need to put on a bunch of weight. I don't want to see all of this stuff, right? I want to see you to have the ability to ease this thing in. Right? When it opens up, we're gonna keep letting it open up. A little bend in our elbows, keeping our fists in front of our chest. We don't want our fists to go behind because then we're putting too much pressure on our shoulders. So fists are always gonna stay in front of our body, in front of our chest. Then we're gonna ease into this press. We're gonna just contract and squeeze, letting it out, and then contracting and squeezing. What I like to always emphasize is those first 3 inches from the concentric and the first 3 inches from the eccentric. A lot of the time, I see a lot of people really force this up and then they lose all that, and then this comes back like this and they're catching. I want to see fluid movement from here. Those 3 seconds or 2 seconds starts from the top. That 1 second from here. 1, 1, 2. Open up. Make sure you keep those shoulders down. And that burns. Good thing about this movement is it's doing exactly what the chest muscle is intended to do, which is shoulder adduction, right? That's all it does. Your chest, being it your lower pecs, your middle pec or upper pec, or your intercostal head, your sternal head, your clavicle head, they all attach to your shoulder here and they pull your shoulder in, right? So this is doing exactly what the chest is intended to do. So when you're doing this, to feel it a little more, it's to let yourself kind of rock a tight bit from here. Feel your chest. I should be able to feel my chest from the second that my hand is on the bar. I should feel it already from here. I'm not trying to move it with my shoulder or bring it like this. I want my chest to do the entire movement in this exercise. Okay, so cues, guys, we do this right from the ground, from floor to core. We want to plant those feet. Should almost feel like you could do a squat from here, right? My butt's gonna sit at the back of the bench. I'm gonna flex my abs, right? That's gonna keep myself from doing this. I'm gonna avoid this big arch my back, flex my abs, and then to keep my butt on the bench. When we have these out, again, let's start from here. Out, push out. And I want to have a neutral spine, so I want my neck, my back, and my butt to be in one straight line. I want to avoid doing this, and I want to avoid doing this, right? You want to keep everything neutral. So when we do this exercise, we're putting the load on our chest and not everywhere else. And you can see when I squeeze or breathing out, I'm contracting my abs, or flexing my abs, and you can see my back stays flat on the bench. It's almost like when I'm pressing or doing flies, I'm thinking to myself, push myself into the bench and not just doing a fly, right? I'm trying to push myself back. Not as a pump. So really, guys, when you're watching this, follow along. I'm trying to explain this and direct this as much as I possibly can so you guys can get a good visual on what a set looks like in terms of the tempo, you know, your contractions, form, all of that. So if anything, just copy me as much as you possibly can. All right, next exercise. Hey guys, before we keep going, I just want to know how your workout's been. They've been on the dumps. I got the answer for you. I've been using Bluestar Nutraceuticals PPK. Guys, 6,000 milligrams of citrulline malate, 400 milligrams of peak ATP, 300 milligrams of caffeine, and added pink Camellia sea salt and coconut water powder. PPK will give you longer lasting pumps, sustainable energy, and hydration benefits. So guys, use my code Johnny10 for 10% off your next purchase of PPK right now. Okay, back to the show. Okay, so next we're gonna do overhead press. I'm gonna do standing overhead press. Now you can do machine press, Smith machine press, seated dumbbell press, standing, any press that you want to do, whatever you can do to the best of your ability. Again, we want to keep form at the forefront of everything, and as well as keeping the tempo consistent and the contraction consistent. So when we're doing barbell, I'm gonna pick this thing up just like a deadlift. You watch that? I'm not gonna just drop it up. I want to pick it up just like a deadlift, right? Top. Now, if you can clean it up, I'm gonna do a little back side clean just to get up here. Now, when I'm doing this, I want to stack my joints again. Make sure my fist, wrist, and elbows stay under the bar. Then I'm pressing it again. I'm pressing overhead. Keep my shoulders depressed. I don't want to have them pop out like this. Keep them down, controlling the weight down. 2, 3, so keep it at 10 to 12 reps. We're really trying to keep control of the weight, forcing a good 2-second negative, 1-second positive. Now you can keep it very strict without using a kind of hip drive, but when the reps get harder, you can use your hips. And that's just to help aid the concentric or the positive, so you can then control the negative as well too. And when it comes to like movements like this, like if you're going from, machine to machine, all of a sudden you're doing a free weight like this, take your time to do like, a feeler set, just so you can kind of go through the actual exercise itself. You're basically doing a rehearsal of the sets you're doing. So when you actually get into your working sets, you have a good flow of things. But again, if you're doing the same similar movements and the same machines, you don't really need to do a bunch of more warm-up sets or feeler sets. Little potato bug. Sorry. Hey buddy, try to get some gains. Okay, so some important cues here. We're gonna talk about head placement. Now, when we're doing the overhead press, a lot of times I see is people think because the weight's going this way, this overhead, and they end up usually doing this thing. Now, we're always trying to work with gravity, right? So gravity goes in basically one direction, from here to there, right? Top to bottom. So this isn't overhead. Overhead is here. So we're gonna have to keep our head in a neutral position from here. We're gonna let it kind of come out a bit. Now, it's very similar to doing a pull-up. Pull-ups start from here and go to here. But the neck doesn't do this, right? So what we're gonna do is from here, when the elbows are underneath, we're gonna move slightly here and then pushing it over and letting our arms go right beside our ears and keep our head neutral here. So I don't wanna have my head doing this, none of this and none of that either, right? So think of this as basically doing the opposite contraction of a pull-up, right? Pull-up is from here to here and up. I'm doing the exact same thing, but the load is basically being pushed up. So let's do it again. So I'm feeling right now that I'm gonna eventually have to use some hip drive. So 5 reps now, pressing up, 6. A little harder now, I'm gonna use some hips. Got some really good cues to kind of give you an idea of like when you're coming close to your, your failing rep. If you can't control the eccentric load, the negative, so on the way down, if I can't maintain that 2 seconds and I find myself going, ugh, and just dropping, there's no way I'm gonna get the concentric up, the positive up, right? So use that as a cue. If you ask like, hey, how do I know when I'm coming close to failure rep? It's when you can't control the tempo consistently, the eccentric load on the way down. Okay, so the next exercise we have here is a doozy. It's a tricep. It's a 3-motion lateral raise. We have 3 movements in one exercise. Give you guys a quick breakdown of this. First is a variation of a lateral raise. So we're gonna keep the weights pronated, right? Like this. Then we're gonna basically swing them around as if we're doing a lateral raise and a front raise at the same time. And we're gonna keep that weight at about chin height. So we're gonna start from here, out forward, and then we're back to here. Don't wrap it around like this. That's not the exercise, right? We're keeping it pronated. Once we've done 10 to 15 of these, we're doing 10 to 15 of your regular lateral raise, right? Then we're done that, then we're gonna do a variation of front raise. Now, there's gonna be 3 types of ways you can do it. The easiest way to do this is to have them locked in, pushed together like this and pulling from here. The second hardest way to do that is above your knees, floating from here. The third hardest way is open like this and here. So you pick, you decide which one you want to try to do, try all of them. But again, this is going to be one of those workouts, an exercise that you do not want to grab a bunch of weight. This is going to be exhausting. You're doing basically 30 to 45 reps in a row, right? So let's get started. Now, a couple things too. We're not going to be leaning on the back either. Make sure we're sitting at the edge of this bench and we're not using any back support. So core is going to be used a lot throughout this exercise, and all of them, but this one too. All right, next. Now you can rest, but you cannot rest with these laying on your knees. right? So you cannot rest with these on your knees. You let them hang all you want. When you're ready, you start. All right, so burning from you right now, and I want to rest these on my knees so bad, but I'm not. So I'm gonna start off doing them the hardest way, which is gonna let these things hover over my knees and do a front raise. 10 to 15 reps, we're gonna do our best to keep our shoulders down and controlled. Here we go. I'm looking at like a 1-to-1 in terms of tempo. I don't need you up here holding the weight for 3 seconds. We just want to really control the change of direction from here to here. So when we're here, we're just up and down. I should be able to do this tempo with weight. If I can't, the weight's too heavy. All right, and that's all we're doing basically, is we're just adding weight or a load to a movement. So any movement that we're doing here today, you should be able to do without weight. And then once you add weight, it should not change your form at all. So I'm gonna rest up again, 1 to 2 minutes, and then do it again. Okay, so here we go, next set. Now again, we're doing 10 to 15 reps. So if you only get 10, 10, 10, that's fine. The goal is to make sure we get in between 10 to 15 reps on each movement, right? So if you get 15 reps your first movement and then only 10 the next one, that's completely fine, as long as we get the minimum or the max. Now, ladder raises, I wanna make sure we know a couple things, a couple tips here, a few tips. Number one, we wanna keep our shoulders down. We don't wanna have this thing swinging up. We don't want our traps engaged too much. 2, pull out to the side on like a 45-degree angle out to here. We don't have to be like a T straight this way. We can have a little bit of angle come out this way. And 3, keep that core engaged. Here we go. All right, last one. Let me keep it the harder one. Let it hover over my shins, pulling straight up. Keep those chops down. 1, 2, 3. So if you guys watch the set, not every rep or set has to be continuous up and down. Within your set, you can take a little bit of breath, a little bit of the breather to gather yourself to get the reps. And that's what I did. You saw a little bit of a pause here and there. So don't be afraid to do that, using a little bit of those kind of techniques to, get yourself the longest rep or set you can to get the most amount of volume in the muscle. We're gonna move on to some triceps now. Give my shoulders and chest a break. All right, here we go. We're on to the tricep portion of this exercise, which I'm super happy about because I am pumped. And you guys will be too. Anyway, so we're doing this 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, 2 second negative, 1 second positive. Again, resting between 1 to 2 minutes in between each set. So let's get after it. Good filler set. With this, I could definitely add more weight on, which I definitely will. Again, you're probably looking at me like this guy's doing this thing wrong. I'm changed a little bit of the angle of this. Any movement you can do that you can make more optimal for you in body position, because not all machines are made equal, right? So this machine I find gives me a lot better of a pump and activation this way than it does how it's actually meant to. Getting myself in a hinge position, almost like I'm doing a bent over row, T-bar row, dumbbell row. I'm in this position, a hinge position. Keep my core engaged where I can keep my leverage over the weight when I'm doing the exercise the entire time, keep a neutral spine. So if you have this machine, go ahead and do it. If you don't, you can use any kind of machine, dip machine you have at your gym, assisted dip machine, whatever it is, adjust it for you. So 15 reps. That last rep was very hard. Next rep wasn't getting one up for sure. So I can stick to this weight. My next set, I know I'm gonna use a full 2 minutes, and that next set, I'll probably get less than 15. So expect your strength to decrease as you go. So if you're thinking you're gonna be as strong as you are at the beginning of your exercise, of your workout, you're terribly wrong. Go into the set or your workout with the mindset knowing that you're going to decrease in strength, but you're not gonna decrease in effort. So just keep that in mind. That was good. It's a good pump. Okay, last but not least, we have a superset of SkullCrushers and then close grip press. Basically, we're gonna take the same grip you have with your SkullCrusher being on the easy bar, inside grip. And do our SkullCrushers, 10 to 15 reps, bring it in front, mid-chest, press out, close grip, 10 to 15 reps. That's basically it. 2 second negative, 1 second positive. I'm gonna finish her off. Let's keep those wrists neutral. We don't want too much of this. We don't want too much of this. So keep them neutral and strong. Elbow is in from here and then up. Bring it this side, 10 to 15. And you can expect this to be the hardest and probably your weakest exercise, being at the very end of your workout and being at a chest exercise and triceps as well too. So you've been primed, basically went to almost failure in every set. These last sets, especially like triceps or the accessories, find a load that you can continue to keep good form and a longer set. One more set, and that'll be that. Whew. Here we go. I am pumped. I'm tired, but I feel great. And you'll definitely feel the same way too. And that is it for today's workout, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys give it a try, make sure you guys let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I know you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You know I'm gonna come out with how it is, transparent, vulnerable truth for coaching, johnishiki.com. If you wanna know more about my coaching, guys, book yourself a 15 or 30-minute consult. At the end of the consult, I deduct it off any package that you pick. Also hit the description below for those discount codes and promo codes to help save life or change life for the better, like Johnny 10 for 10% off Bluestar Nutraceuticals. Anyway, guys, make sure you guys add me on Instagram and TikTok. Send me your progress pics, your training pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you, because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progress will overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.